Let's build a Justin Rhodes meat shaw. Let's go. Job's pretty clean. This is kind of in my way. Nice big clean open area. Let's get the book, let's do the cut sheet, and we'll start screwing stuff together. This is the Homestead Builds by Justin Rhodes book. Chris Slattery also did the Polyface Designs book with Joel Salad. This is what we're building today. The meat shaw. I'm not gonna do a trailer hit. It's like a mobile shade for chickens. And that's what I'm gonna use in my pasture setup that I've started rotating my birds through. I think they would like a little bit more space to get out of the rain and things like that. 17 2x4s. I think I've got a couple extra right there. And this is the cut sheet. So that's pretty simple. Harbor Freight Hercules miter saw and start chopping. I love this tool. Got finished cuts on this side. These are not been cut on. 2 96-inch. So that's the full cut list, and I put on this little cart because I felt like that would be very convenient. Really, that doesn't count to me as waste. And this is still a very usable piece of lumber. That was the only waste from this, so that's pretty great. Let's start building. Better be goofy than blind. Safety specs. I was wrong. I forgot my miters. 4 like this, 4 like that, and 2 like that. The instructions say every angle will be cut at 45 with the pointed part ending at the very edge of the board on each end. So essentially like just right to the end, so you still maintain that same length on the back, which is not too hard to do. I really like this leaf blower. That's kind of the underside of the roof, mostly put together. Long pieces. There's some miters to add right now. Done. These instructions are really good. I'm happy with them. A few months ago, I got some of these Forstner bits from Harbor Freight. They're pretty nice. Oh, I reckon I'm very happy with that. So working on the uprights, I had a bit of a battery failure. Put on these mending braces. I never used these before. They only had 12 inches at Lowe's. I couldn't find any 10s. That's what it calls for. So cut off wheel. Safety first. I reckon that'll work. I think this one calls for 1 5/8" screws. There you go. Get yourself some file cabinets and you'll love them. I love them and you will too. Unless you just hate organization, productivity. Do that same thing again. The Star Wars Cantina theme is stuck in my head. I am just eyeballing this, but who cares? My meat shaw. I tell you what, it is nice to not have to be like, what do I do next? You just go to the book. Now we're gonna put a carriage bolt through each of these. I can do that. You wanna see the most shameful part of my shop? Drill bit drawer is the worst part of my shop. New drill bit, very sharp, very nice. These are 3/4. There we go. Spyderco Spidey Chef in the pocket today. Essentially the best pocket knife ever made. Maybe not. That's a pretty strong assertion, but this really is a tremendously good pocket knife. This is why I hate carriage bolts. That's pretty solid. I believe my presence has been requested inside. It's cold. Same day, a few hours later, everyone's asleep, everyone's in bed, everyone's been fed dinner. I come back out to the shop and get this thing done. One of the first things I'm doing differently than the plans is instead of measuring these and then screwing them on, unscrewing them on and then measuring them. Now we gotta drill some holes in these spacer block, which cut list, it has cut 3.5 inch blocks on it. It might be hard to see. And I just used the ends of these. That seemed to work. Yeah, these little spacer blocks. Looks reasonably good for me. Now I'm kind of thinking that that actually needs to be a 3/4 inch hole. I think that'll work. That's pretty frustrating. Got this clamped together with one of these speed clamps. When I unclamped it, literally pulled apart. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Starting to look a little bit like something. I bought two 36s and they call for 24s. I saved these like kind of little plastic parts from some old piece of something I got shipped. And they actually make pretty decent soft jaws. You know, my dad was telling me the other day, this is before I convinced my mom to buy him a new set of tools. He didn't have an angle grinder. And I was like, how do you live? So it calls for some blue Loctite. And I think I have some. I've got a bunch of it. That's really good. The instructions say you really want this very tight. I've got a split in there. I might have to, I'm probably gonna cap that with something. In the directions it says use adjustables. And I kind of hate adjustable wrenches. Not quite. Too small for the jumbos. Right. Adjustable wrenches like an ape, I guess. Oh, that feels really quite tight. This is more blue Loctite. Now you get to do something fun. Put the wheels on. These wheels are called, I believe, Marathon non-flat. Really good design for this. It says thread it till it is lightly snug to the wheel, or you will crush the wheel bearing. Cool. Coyotes are howling. Step 27, bending braces on either side of this joint. I find most of these steps take 6 or 7 minutes, some more, some less. Don't make the trailer hitch, which I'm not. There's 40 steps, so like 4 or 5 hours, like a big afternoon. If you're all set up and you got all your tools and everything. I'm not done, but I'm pretty close. Geese have been honking quite a bit. I'm gonna go make sure everything's okay down in the pasture. They're all fine. Pretty sure there's 3 deer that walked by. They were making a ruckus though. I could hear them all the way up here. We went and looked at a livestock guardian dog today. What all, a lot more confirmation that that's what we need. A lot of peace of mind offered by one of those animals. Back to building. Here's one of the things I'm doing differently. On the plans, it says to put the carriage bolts in from this direction, but then you can't really smack them. So I'm gonna hit them in from this direction. It's midnight. I'm pretty tired. I'll finish it tomorrow. All right, welcome back to the shop. It's the next day. This is how far I got last night. There's my sweet boy. Boomsy. Hey, who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? I broke this, foobarred it completely, so I had to upgrade. Took a little trip to Harbor Freight. It was free bucket day. I got some of the Icon hammers, 24 and the 32. I got one to replace this one. And then a 1-pounder because it's inconvenient. So this is trash now. Got a few other goodies. I got some more speed clamps. I don't know very much about woodworking. You can never have enough clamps. Back to building. This is one of the things I'm gonna change. All of the torsion is on these 2 screws. I don't really like that. This is a leftover piece. Split it and miter it. I might even suggest that to Justin, because why not? A little bit of extra strength never hurt nobody. Get these installed, and good example of when you go off book, sometimes it can bite you, is now I've got to take this out. Drill my dumb hole. I need a wrench. Get yourself some ratchet wrenches because they're worth it. Oh yeah, that's a lot stronger. And mark and drill an 1.5-inch hole. Ooh, I may not have a hole saw that'll do that. Success. But it's not going to go all the way through, so I'm gonna have to go in from both sides. It says to come 3 inches back and drill a hole. I'm gonna go 4 inches back just to give more space for getting your hand around it. The reason I'm doing that is because there's a piece of wood that goes across this, right? This piece of wood, and the handle goes in between that. I want more space between the handle and that piece of wood, I think. Do that same thing again. Secret time, honesty hour. I finished it off camera. I have a good reason. My daughter came out to the shop to play with me and to hang out with me, and I was way more concerned about doing that with her than I was about filming it. But here it is. It's all done in all its glory. I'm really happy with it. As you can tell, I made a bit of a mistake. I trusted the factory 2x4s to be actually 8 feet long. I didn't measure them, and I didn't cut them. They're actually like almost 1.5 inches too long. Should have done that. If you're building this, double check, measure them, don't trust them. I'm glad I moved this back another inch. It moves really easily. And it feels really solid for what it is. These are kind of annoying, and it's kind of cold. This one's peeling really good. Ooh, that's hot. I got this little Milwaukee heat gun the other day, and it's pretty handy. This is one that was giving me some trouble earlier. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Quick tip about this roofing is it's only UV treated on one side. So when you're installing that, like, be sure to notice that. The stickers, from what I understand, are on the UV treated side. Otherwise, it would probably degrade a lot faster. This thing is actually pretty sweet. I saw how much Wrangler Star enjoyed them, quite frankly. And I was in Home Depot, and I thought, I'll get one of those. Oh look, it's my kitty cat. Cutie pie, where you going? There you are. Good kitty cat. I saw that thing catch a mouse the other day for the first time. It's probably not the first mouse it ever caught, but it was the first time I ever saw it. And it was pretty awesome. Yeah, that's it done. I'm pretty happy with it. So here's the tool list. Pencil, hammer, hacksaw, tape measure, speed square, power drill, tin snips, handsaw, socket set, driver bits, drill bit index, and adjustable wrenches. I used a version of pretty much all of this. I laid it out so we can go through it real quick. I used this miter saw in lieu of a handsaw, which is way better. I used this combination of drills and drivers for various different things. Knee pads, they're kind of goofy and stupid, but it did really help some of the, getting around on the floor stuff. Always need your safety spectacles. This was the worst performing thing I had in this whole shebang. I don't even know how I own this. It's awful. I'm going to upgrade very soon. I used an angle grinder in lieu of a hacksaw, and I always kind of use a few tapes. Did use the adjustable wrenches, did use a ratcheting wrench. Had to use vice grips for when the carriage bolts wouldn't seat right and they would spin. That's why I hate carriage bolts. That's another thing that I would probably change about this. If I was going to be doing it again, I would make them hex bolts so that you can tighten it from either side, is also a really nice thing. Super honorable mention that probably should be included at some point in the directions is like a little wire brush like this. Super useful for cleaning the threads out of the carriage bolts, because once you tap them through with a hammer, they got clogged with a lot of wood debris and I found that they would kind of bind up when you're trying to tighten them. So once I started brushing them, that worked a lot better. These are the fasteners I used. I used some 2.5 when it calls for all 3s. I used up all my 3s, and quite frankly, some of the joints in this, if you really sink a 3, they will poke out. So sharp point roofing screws were awesome. And then I bought extras for all of this stuff. One of the things I started kind of doing a little while ago when I build projects is like, you know, if it calls for 2, but they sell a 10-pack, buy the 10-pack. You're going to use them at some point. They don't go bad. And it just gives you the flexibility in the future when you're doing something to like not have to leave. So if you can afford it, just start to stock up on stuff. You know, I don't have a ton of hardware, but these are kind of my hardware drawers. They get progressively more organized as you go up. It's got a bunch of fasteners in it as well. It's just worth it. Having a bunch of stuff on hand when you're fixing stuff, when one little thing breaks. I really like doing that. This wasn't necessary, but they are nice. I do recommend a center punch whenever you got to drill through metal tubing. Just makes it easier. You don't have to have it, but it just makes it easier. And you have to drill through it for the handle. And then speed clamps. Seriously, buy yourself some speed clamps. This project would have been way more difficult without those. And quite frankly, I would probably make that like a recommended, like nice to have or a recommended section. Kind of get that this was designed as like the minimum viable product in terms of if you were gonna go build this with the simplest possible tools, what could you do that with? That's not how I live. Pretty interesting. This is all of the waste I ended up with, but that's pretty much everything I used to build that. You could do it with a lot less, but this is what I used. I was really happy with all of it, except for that hole saw and the mallet that I broke. I want to take this thing down to the pasture tomorrow and probably introduce you guys to our new dog. We got a livestock guardian dog today. Her name is Cowgirl. Time to take this thing down to the birds. That was pretty easy. I'm happy with how that works. So we gotta get this inside the fence. Already got a first chicken exploring it. We're just gonna leave it right there. Let's go see Cowgirl. She's scaredy. Hey, sweetie. Oh, this makes me feel terrible. I'm gonna give her some love. Cowgirl, hey. Hey, sweetie. Hey, lay down. Lay down. Let me scratch your belly. Let me scratch your belly. Let me scratch your belly. Lay down. Oh, who's the sweet girl? She is 75% Great Pyrenees and 25% Carpathian Shepherd and 100% certified cute. Oh, Daddy loves you. Oh yeah, you're a good doggy. Looks like the chickens are liking this. They're already taking to it. When it's gonna be rainy, I'll probably do the feeding under here. There are new geese. These are Sebastopol geese. That is Tutu, and that is Mr. Silly Goose. And they are our guard geese. Because we have enough chickens that it'd be kind of really annoying if a bunch of them got killed. This is awesome. I love it. This is one of the reasons you got to move the coop. It's probably going to be difficult to tell on camera, but there's a lot of chicken poop out here. Half your manure load comes at night. So this coop is designed for the manure to flow through. This is what we've got for the inside of the coop. I just put in these nesting boxes. This has always been here, this rollaway box. There's an automatic door. Waterers are on it. Little nipple joints. So this is 400 feet of poly netting. This ground has been fallow for 2 years, and previously to that, it was planted in corn, which is a real heavy nitrogen feeder. Chicken poop is super high in nitrogen. That's what this ground needs probably the most. Good job, Cowgirl. My dog Boomer just came down here. She does got a little bit of that grr to her. One of the best things I ever learned was keep all of your farm infrastructure mobile, ideally man portable. Chicken coop I built is not man portable, but that's also why I have a dedicated wheel horse tractor towing it around, because that's about the cheapest solution for that. Cost, that is probably something I bet you're wondering about. I figured it out for you. The wheels from Northern Tool are $119.98. Then I went through on Lowe's.com and selected all of the items that are in this in as best a quantity as you can to minimize leftover, and the total came to $354.26. Then the book is $79. The project total for this, assuming you have none of the materials required when you start, would be about $553, give or take. It's not an insignificant amount of money. It should last for many, many years. If I was gonna be building this and I had a reasonably equipped shop, I would budget $500 for it and feel like you were gonna, probably hit that pretty quick. Gotta go do morning chicken chores. Also, we got another puppy. Meet Doug.
What's up, buddy? Hey, sweet boy.
This is Boomer. He's an F1 Golden Doodle. This is Doug. Doug is 75% poodle, 25% Great Pyrenees, and 100% fluffy. That was my wife's Christmas present. Dougie dog. Come here, Doug. Good boy. Good boy. Dougie fresh. I'm a big fan of the doodle. Swamp's back.
Get out of me, swamp!
Here comes the welcome wagon. And there's Cowgirl. I gotta open the nesting boxes. Tutu and Mr. Silly Goose. These things are so fun. The birds really love it. They've taken to it super great. I'm super glad I built it. I'm super glad you're able to follow along with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, Cowgirl. Hey, Cowgirl. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. You keep my birds safe, Cowgirl?